Where are you now on the subject of legal marijuana?
Does this country need another psychoactive drug? And the answer to me is no. Does it have a place? Yes. But medical marijuana is the camel sticking his nose in the tent. And very soon the whole camel's in the tent because, okay, I have written letters for people with multiple sclerosis, people with cancer, to use medical marijuana. I think it's probably helpful. However, a rash, a headache, no hair, that's probably not an indication for medical marijuana. And the trouble is that the state is not going to stick to what they've said about it. And so it's going to become legalized. And it's going to, it's going to be like Washington. It's going to be like Colorado. I mean, the camel got his nose in the tent, and there already is movement by NORML, the pro-marijuana group, to legalize it. So that you can, instead of going buying a pack of Luckies, which you probably can't do on the island anymore, but you can go in and get a package of Wheaties.
But I did see an article in the paper the other day that there is now some pushback because of some of the consequences in the states where it's been legalized.
But it's DUI because how do you say somebody's impaired? Because I don't know of a good test for it. I mean, it's not like you can do with alcohol, get a blood alcohol. I mean, people will have positive, because the people I deal with in my Suboxone program, I mean, you can be positive for marijuana for a month or longer in heavy users. I think it potentially has a place. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I mean, I honestly have provided
we read about that
stuff to help people because I think it can help people with without an appetite or in those types of situations. But I have concerns not about Dan, you and I it's not an issue. Okay, we're above the age of consent, well above the age of consent. I am concerned about kids in school. I mean, we don't need something to make the kids more stultified. If you take a look at chronic users of marijuana, they're not the top third of the class. They're not. And that's destroying their chances to move ahead because of an attractive nuisance. I mean, those are my feelings. I mean, I am ambivalent about it. I have a nephew that has a big grow house in Rhode Island. He's provides for a number of patients. I think that there are certain indications for it. I think that I'm concerned with there's enough marijuana available that I'm not sure that legalizing it is going to make it any better. I mean, alcohol, you can't buy it till you're 21.
Right.
There's an awful lot of beer cans out there that I don't think are being consumed by 21-year-olds. So it gets down into the schools, and I think that to me is a real problem.
Do you have any good news?
It's a beautiful day. It's nice and cold, which I like. No, I think, there's a lot of good things happening.
There are a lot of good things, actually.
We build a new hospital either on the site or in Wires Valley. I think that's going to be a big plus. You take a look at our school system, you take a look at our graduates, take a look at how our kids are doing. Tremendous. That's why I love school committee.
That's something we haven't touched on at all, is your role with the school committee over these years, and I'd like to do that, but I think probably we ought to do it another time.
Well, but that's good news.
It is good news.
We don't advertise. It's always in the back last page of the paper in the first section, and it's in print that small. We ought to be celebrating those kids.
The boss says we have time if you have time to talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
All right, let's do that. How long have you been involved with the school committee?
Probably 25 years, 26 years.
And a lot of the time you've been chair, not all of it.
Well, I mean, it just depends. I'm always around and available, and I enjoy it.
in recent years, certainly, it seems, in my experience, which isn't that long in terms of looking at things like that, but the last 10 or 12 years, it seems that the school system has really ratcheted itself up, and particularly with Michael Kozort's arrival.
I think Mike is really, it's not only Mike. Mike has brought in a great set of principals, and they, working as an administrative team, have done a tremendous job. And, I think kids do what you expect of them. If you expect kids are going to do well and you provide a challenge, kids do well. And I think that's what we're seeing in our school system. People are concerned about the immigrant population and the ELL kids. Well, you know what? What we don't see...
English is a second language.
English language learners. But you see the number of kids that have graduated from that program and are doing a tremendous job. I mean, I think our school system is facing challenges. 750 kids at the elementary school, but plans are going ahead to build a new elementary school. But you take a look at what our kids are accomplishing. People have raised criticisms. Well, maybe they don't go to this school or that school. Well, you know what? Are they good citizens? Do they keep their nose clean? Are they productive? Yes. And that's my criteria. Sure, we get kids into Dartmouth, MIT, we get kids into great schools, but we get kids into very good schools all over the place. And I think that getting these schools, sure, it gives you a little panache, but really, do kids graduate from a school and are they successful? Are they productive? Yes, and our kids are. Do they have to go to college? No. I mean, I think it's good for kids to get off island and get some experience. But, whether you're fishing or you're, repairing cars, there aren't any car emergencies, If I were probably reincarnated, maybe I'd come back and fix cars. Then I wouldn't be up at 3 in the morning fixing a car.
Is there anything that the school system really needs now that other than the new elementary school?
Well, I think we need the new elementary school, and I think...
But from programmatic standpoint...
No, I think we're moving ahead. I mean, if you take a look at the Chinese program, you look at the Spanish for Spanish speakers, which I don't quite understand, but, our kids are doing very well. Programmatically, I think we're moving ahead, and certainly over the course of time, since my kids all went through the school, I see significant improvements.
Is that a function and part of size, that there's a critical mass that you need for some of these things really to work?
I think there is, but we don't have that critical mass no matter what. I think that we are providing programs that challenge our kids. We have some excellent teachers, and I think that they're doing a great job.
What about on the sports side, interscholastic sports? Is that something that's going to face more challenges going forward because people aren't going to want to come here, for example?
Well, they already don't want to come here.
Right.
Because they don't want to get beaten. I mean, that's the
fact.
Of
course, is what I was referring to.
No, I think we've, always you start off, I think, okay, well, give a confession, I'm a football fanatic and I travel with the team. We've had tremendous improvement in our football program. A lot of kids are participating and they're doing very, very well. Short a few injuries against Cohasset, we would have crushed the Vineyard. But we will wait. They have to come to us next year, and I'm sure that Brian will have things
under control.
I think we've seen the women's programs are really blossoming.
But things like boys soccer have also in recent years done very well.
Yes. Soccer is not my favorite.
But it wasn't an option even.
No, it wasn't.
Not that long ago.
The superintendent did play Division I soccer.
Did he? I did not know that.
Yes, and the superintendent almost got a yellow card at a couple of the games.
Really?
So we have to make sure that the athletic director keeps them quiet. But no, I will give Mike credit. Mike, as they say with politicians, shows up at the opening of an envelope. He attends all the games, all the activities. He knows the kids. He knows the kids, and that to me is fascinating, because as a superintendent with now 1,500 kids in the school, certainly he will come to guidance. I know, because my wife works in guidance, and will be asking about a particular child, how this child is doing. And that to me is fascinating for somebody that's in the administrative role he's in. Plus we've got, just great people all the way along. I'm very happy with the system. I've been through this, I've been in the system when it has been rocky, and school committees meetings were exciting. And I appreciate the tremendous job that the administration is doing right now.
Do you get much public support's not the right word, but do you get much positive feedback from the public?
Well, we do. But I think, and this is, okay, I am a bug on this. I think we need to celebrate our kids. Our kids, and I'm talking about kids that have graduated, particularly, because we see kids that are highly successful in all walks of life. We see, but they're on that damn last page of the first section down below. Who was Dean's List? Who was this? Who was that? I think we ought to celebrate the kids that are in the military, because that's a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous commitment. I would put their pictures up on the wall. I have a lot of ideas that administration does tend to throw cold water on, but that's because I have the luxury of being the non-combatant. I think that people appreciate. I think this island. Somebody said to my wife once, Nantucket values its children. And it's true. You take a look at the money that's given out at graduation. Right. You take a look at the kids graduating, from Wee Whalers and one of the other preschools, and then coming to the schools, and then walking up from the elementary school to the middle school to the high school. We celebrate our kids and we value our kids. That's important, and I think the town is behind that. I mean, obviously, you take a look at the budget. The monetary commitment is around $22 million. I can't give the other numbers.
That's about right.
Yeah, and I'm talking about building a new elementary school. I mean, we value our children, and I think our kids are showing a tremendous response to that. I mean, our kids are doing great things.
One last question: how are you going to sell the new elementary school to the town meeting?
I think the elementary school sells itself, but I know that Mike and the administration have been doing a tremendous job. I mean, one way is Mike is going to be moving out into a trailer. Now that shows the space issues, and it shows that the administration is willing to be part of the solution.
But that's the high school.
That's the high school, but because every closet at the elementary school is full. I mean, we have trailers down there now, and that's not appropriate. I think Mike's been doing a good job of it. I think people appreciate what has happened down there, because the school designed for 350, 400 kids is now almost twice that.
That's right.
And if for some reason, if you look at our enrollment, other schools on the Cape are fighting for kids. You hear Mashpee High School advertising, which I never thought of before.
Yeah, I haven't heard it, but
they're advertising on the radio, WRCK, and we're seeing enrollments going like this. We're adding 50 to 100 kids a year to the enrollment. Now there has to be a critical mass. At a certain point, it's got to go down.
Well, there are all kinds of issues that go along with that, not just related to the school.
But I was talking to this woman today that had 57 kids in her graduating class not that many years ago. My daughter had 47. Right. Now we're talking of classes of over 100. We're going to have about 140 deliveries a year this year on the island. So I think that I think it's been well advertised, and I think Mike's done a good job.
It's been talked about a lot.
People understand the need. You know, not that many years ago, remember the high school, oh, too grandiose, too big,
Right.
What do we need a pool for? The biggest complaints we get are if we turn the pool down 1 degree, we have people screaming at the school committee. So we always have to remember that. Could we have a crash in population? Sure, we could. You know, if economics go bad, then people will leave. But I really don't see it. I see the numbers
better
continuing.
here than elsewhere.
Yes. You know, and we invest a lot in education. I mean, it's fascinating. We had this presentation from the middle school on using Chromebooks. And the teacher can follow what each student is doing and instantly respond to what they're doing. It's a whole new world. I mean, you and I grew up, it was number 2 pencils and the Palmer method.
Now they don't even know how to write.
Yes. Well, I know. But, I mean, that to me, I was just so struck by this presentation that it's very difficult to express it.
The school my granddaughter goes to outside Baltimore requires the kids to have laptops in 7th grade.
Yeah. No, but we're seeing it all through the system.
That's right.
No, it's fascinating to me. And when I saw this demonstration, I was amazed because this means real time the teachers are interacting with the students. Real time. You know, it's just unbelievable.
It is amazing. Tim Lepore, thank you so much for spending the time with us. It was really interesting and fun and very worthwhile.
Well, thank you very much for having me.